Hi, I'm Laura Walker, and I'd like to introduce you to a piece of really interesting work that will help you overhaul how you develop agile talent in your organisation. The last 2 years have been massively disruptive for everyone, and L&D functions have been forced to change how we do strategy, but also how we bring learning to all parts of our organisation, embracing digital, for example, like never before. And the pace of change looks set to continue with lots of new ways of working, hybrid, for example, but also with new and different strategies that businesses are adopting. And we need to make sure that we can keep up with that and to develop the capabilities that our businesses and our people need at pace, but in a way that is planful and a really good investment based on the best evidence available. I've been working with a small group of people who involve L&D specialists from Hemsley Fraser, but also with client organisations, heads of learning and development, talent management, and so on. And we've come to the conclusion that most of our talent development programmes, methods, planning techniques are no longer going to be fit for purpose, and we need the chance to take a deliberately agile approach to what we're doing so that we can better respond to both what our businesses need, but also what the people that we're trying to develop and retain also need. So we're suggesting that we need to have a coherent and integrated approach to how we develop agility at an organisational, a team, and an individual level. So what we've done is pulled on lots of different evidence, practical practice experience, but also what the best research is telling us out there. So I'm a practitioner, but I'm also passionate about evidence and research, and evidence data-driven decision making is core to any agile planning approach. So we've taken that on board for the work that we've produced. And we've developed a model which will help you navigate the shift that you're trying to bring about as an organisation. So whether you're a mature organisation where you've got lots of things in place and you really need to align them around a different direction, or whether you're a newer organisation with very little in place and you need to work your way through maturing the approach that you need as a business. So let me tell you about the Developing Agile Talent model, just orient you to it, and then obviously you can read a lot more about the detail behind it at your leisure. So as you will notice, the model itself is based on the metaphor of a wheel, and that is to truly reinforce the evolving nature of what we need to be doing in talent. We can't be putting in long-standing programs that just stay forever and don't adapt and evolve as the organisation needs. So it needs to be that agile approach, the agility built in to how we do it. You'll also notice at the centre there's the developing agile talent needs to be clearly defined for what that means for your organisation. So what's your vision? What's your North Star, if you like? So what does that really mean? And get some pithy description around what that means so that all of the other elements in the approach can help you shift in the direction that you're needing to shift in. You'll also notice that there are 4 sections that are broadly aligned around why, what, how, and where, and that recognises the shift in nature of agility in an organisation. So it's not just about agile software development. Our approach to agility is much broader, and it's more around the adjective definition of agility. So being able to respond to what's going on, but also to take a proactive approach in shaping the agenda going forward. And that's where the why, what, how, and where fit in. So obviously you would start with why, seems a little obvious, but I'll stress that anyway, to make sure that you're really clear about what the business needs, but also what your human needs are. Human leadership is really a top trend at the moment, and making sure that organisations are a place where people can belong and grow and develop. And meeting both sets of needs is really critical, and sometimes they can be in tension, but if you can really make that work for you as a professional, then that's really going to unlock a lot in your organisation. Some people think agility means not planning. I'd say it's the opposite. So planning needs to be purposeful and adaptive. And a lot of the business press is now talking about agile planning as being the answer to business development and business planning. So it's really helpful if talent can also fit into the similar rhythm in an organisation. So it's about having adaptive, purposeful plans that are bringing about a difference that you're trying to achieve, and that you visit them obviously regularly. The second area is around what you develop, and a lot of L&D functions can waste a huge amount of time trying to get an accurate assessment on where you are now. Our point of view is that we should spend the majority of our time focused on future focused capabilities, really understanding what they are and bringing about initiatives to develop those capabilities. And those initiatives should speak to upskilling, reskilling and broad skilling. So the vast majority of our future talent is already employed in our own organisations or in other people's organisations. So a big emphasis needs to be on continuous learning, so upskilling, reskilling people in new and different areas, but also broad skilling, which is where you might have a new capability that some people need in depth, but that same capability might need to be broadly understood and broadly applied within the whole organisation. So for example, you might have detailed digital capability in some areas, but broad digital skills and capabilities in others, for example. The third area around how, so we've seen some of this revolution happening already, but the key is to have evidence-driven innovation. So making the most of the data that you've got available to you through your partners, for example, if you've got learning providers, really asking great challenging questions of that data so you can work out what really does make a difference, what works and what doesn't, and trying to avoid the seduction of the pet projects, which are quite common in the world of talent, or around the latest shiny thing. So what is it that really works for you and your organisation, and really being deliberate about that. Team learning, social learning, we know is a really massive theme. We know people will learn really well when they feel safe and they can apply their learning in live situations, in the flow of their work. So how can you really power what you do to make the most of teams learning together in that safe environment and being able to apply that learning as quickly as possible? We've all said quite a bit about hybrid learning recently, and embracing true hybrid learning, not just bolting together face-to-face digital and thinking that's hybrid, because it's not. Hybrid learning is hybrid by design, and really making the most of the opportunities that presents around collaboration, around increased productivity, and making the most of the engagement and sustainability elements of hybrid for both organisation and for individuals involved. And speaking of which, so Agile Talent takes quite a broad definition around an organisation, so it challenges the boundaries around what developing talent is, focuses more on experiences than programmes, but also pushes the boundaries into non-traditional workers, so around contractors, for example, and embraces a much more inclusive approach to talent development than might have been historically the case, and really challenges some of those, as I say, pet projects around, different talent groups and assumptions about what you need to get on in the organisation. So it's a really fluid model, and you'll notice that's reflected, as we said, in the wheel, and the 4 E's around the outside. They bring to life what really good learning in this context needs to be about. It needs to excite learners. It needs to really engage them in the learning. Obviously, embed the learning as quickly as possible. We all know that as learning professionals, but in that agile context, and then clearly evolve how it works. So it's a very fluid approach, but it's not a loose approach. And the guidance that you get from this model should help you to assess what you currently do and look where the gaps are, or where you need to dial things up or dial things down, or actually just notice where things are missing altogether, and to help you focus on developing that integrated approach that is going to make the biggest difference to talent development and how we've approached this for quite some time. I hope you find that useful. Please do duck into the additional resources that are available on the website and so on, and then you can really understand some of the evidence that sits behind this model. Enjoy.